This isn't about the technology itself. It's about a misunderstanding of how it works.
Objection. The witness is speculating.
But my client lost everything.
So what happens when a digital fortune just vanishes? When a life gets completely turned upside down and an entire legal system is basically put on trial? Well, today we're diving deep into the case of the vanishing Bitcoin.
All right, let's just start with a number. A big one. $500,000. So what is that? Well, that's the amount a cybersecurity expert is now demanding from the nation of Uruguay.
And the big question is, why? The claim is that their sheer incompetence cost him not only his freedom, but also a massive digital fortune. So how on earth does something like this happen? And what does it tell us about the massive clash between our laws and our technology?
To understand this, we've got to start with the man at the center of it all, Alberto Daniel Hill. And the thing is, according to his supporters, he wasn't some kind of criminal mastermind. He was a cybersecurity expert.
In fact, he actually had a history of working with the very same authorities that would later go after him. He had found security flaws in Uruguay's national systems before and reported them, to help them fix things, not to exploit them. And this, right here, is where Hill's defense says the whole problem started. The tools of his trade, the kind of stuff any security pro would have, like testing devices and scanners, were apparently seen by the police as instruments for committing crimes. And that fundamental misunderstanding, well, it set the stage for everything that was about to go wrong. So, let's look at the first part of Hill's case, which is all about how his digital fortune literally disappeared. It all starts with how his assets were handled, or rather, mishandled. Okay, to really get what happened next, you need to understand this one critical difference. With a self-custody wallet, like a ledger, you hold the keys. Think of it like your own personal safe. But with a custodial wallet, some third party, like an exchange, holds the keys for you. That's more like a bank vault. This little distinction, it turned out to be absolutely crucial.
First up was his ledger wallet, that personal safe we just talked about. The police seized the actual physical device when they searched his home.
Now, a ledger is designed with this really important security feature. If you enter the wrong PIN 3 times, it completely wipes itself clean to protect what's inside. And the lawsuit claims the police did exactly that. They tried to force their way in, trigger the protocol, and poof. The private keys and all the assets they unlocked were just gone, permanently. And the loss was just staggering. We're talking Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, all of it, just made completely inaccessible. Because with a self-custody wallet, there's no forgot my password button. Those assets were, for all intents and purposes, erased from existence. But the problems didn't stop there. The authorities also seized the phone Hill was using for his two-factor authentication, and that phone was the key to his account on the WEX crypto exchange, his digital bank vault. So, by taking his phone, they basically locked him out of his own account. He was completely powerless to do anything when, about a year later, the entire WEX exchange collapsed and took all its customer funds down with it. The result? Another huge financial hit. Over $100,000 just gone. And his lawyers argue it was a direct result of the police blocking him from getting to his own money.
So beyond all the lost money, Hill's lawsuit also goes after the legal case that was built against him. The argument is that it wasn't based on solid digital forensics, it was basically built on paper.
Now, Uruguayan law is actually super clear on this. For any digital evidence to be considered legally valid, it has to have an electronic signature to prove it hasn't been tampered with. It's like rule number 1 for digital forensics.
So what was the main evidence the prosecution used? You guessed it. Paper printouts, logs, and an email, presented in court with none of that required digital verification. I mean, in this day and age, that's like bringing a photocopy of a murder weapon to court and expecting everyone to just accept it as the real thing.
The lawsuit also lays out some really severe claims about violations of his rights. Things like being interrogated without a lawyer, being coerced into a false confession, being denied his vital medication for 2 full days, and being put through a trial by media that was apparently fueled by leaks from the police themselves.
And the personal cost here was just immense. Hill says the trauma from this whole ordeal was so bad that he couldn't work in his own field for 3 years. It absolutely shattered his career and his reputation.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little. The defense is arguing that what happened to Alberto Hill wasn't just a random series of bad mistakes. No, they say it's part of a much bigger, systemic problem. His lawyers believe this case perfectly fits a pattern that we see all over the world, where legal systems that were built for an analog age just completely break down when they're faced with the complexities of digital tech.
And you can really see the parallels. Hill's case, with its mishandled digital evidence, it has echoes of the crazy, disproportionate prosecution of Aaron Swartz, right? And the whole trial by media thing feels a lot like what we've seen with Julian Assange. The argument is that they all point to the same thing: a justice system clashing with a world it just doesn't get.
One legal analysis of the case put it perfectly. They called it the collision between an archaic justice system and the frontier of digital technology. And in that collision, Alberto Hill claims he was the one who got crushed. And that's really why this $500,000 lawsuit is about so much more than just the money. It's being framed as a massive test case for digital rights. It's asking a really basic question: can a government be held legally responsible for its own technological incompetence? And that just leaves us with this huge, critical question. Alberto Hill's story is a massive warning sign. As our entire world goes digital, can our legal systems actually keep up? Or are we just going to see more and more of these kinds of collisions on the digital frontier?